Welcome to the Football Pyramid Talk podcast. Available to listen to on YouTube and Spotify. George, Simon and Sterling as your hosts. 7 different leagues. Enjoy the episode. Hello everybody and welcome back to the final prediction video of Season 2, and this is episode 7 of it. We've got our Premier League predictions, Monday Night Football edition again after the positive feedback we got from the Championship episode, so thank you very much for that. Last prediction video, as I said, so back to the usual in episode 8, so we look forward to that. But first of all, we'll get this over and done with, get our predictions for the Premier League, the Promised Land. First of all, though, how are we, fellas? All good?
Good, thank you, mate. I'm good. George, your trim's looking fresh, actually, mate.
Yeah, got it yesterday, mate. Yeah, got it yesterday. Good. Got to look sharp for the pod, didn't you? But a couple of sections that we said last time out, like top goal scorer, impact signing, player to watch, and manager to watch, sort of new additions from last season. If you're not aware already from watching, the Championship predictions, we start from the bottom all the way to the top, but we've done it for every episode, as I said. What did you think of the Premier League last year? I mean, it was a cracking title race till the end with Arsenal and Man City, so what do you think of it?
Yeah, it was exciting. I'm going to try and catch some of that Pep documentary that's just come out on Prime, because apparently he has quite a few interesting things to say in there about City and the way they've played over the last couple of seasons. That would be a good one to see what's going on behind the scenes there, because I think there's more going on than we realised. I know that it was done in the paper today that one of the episodes he breaks down because he talks to the squad about getting divorced and doesn't have to think out loud, but you think from what the inference is that football's probably a lot to do with that. So yeah, there's always a undercurrent of other stories going on with the Prem, isn't there? So can't wait for Friday night.
Yeah, Sterling?
Yeah, all throughout the league last year it was competitive, and I mean some of the games we watched last year, we said, didn't we, when we were watching them, it was quite poor. I think the state of play probably wasn't as good overall as it has been. Obviously throw-ins and set pieces were a massive thing, but in terms of it being competitive, it was for title, Europe, relegation, so it was still entertaining. It's best league in the world still. Hopefully we can have a few more exciting games, because I feel like in past seasons it's been better for a number of good games. Last season we didn't have quite as many, I don't think.
No, not as many as we usually would, you're right in that factor, so we'll see if that changes this time round. But on to the predictions. We start from the bottom and go to the top, so the bottom 3, 20th to 18th, 3 go down in the Premier League, of course. 20th for me, I've got Hull. Hull for me obviously got promoted very surprisingly last season via the playoffs. But I think the way that they play is just, I don't know, the manager plays some very interesting style of football, which is very defensive, which you could see in abundance in the playoff final. They've got a couple of good players, don't take anything away from that, and they've made a couple of decent signings themselves. But for me, I just don't think they have enough. I think the style of play might affect them in the Premier League for me under Serge Djurkovic, the Bosnian head coach. But a couple of decent signings, like I just said, a bit of experience from Sporting Lisbon in, I think it was Morishita or something like that. He was a good signing from Sporting Lisbon. And then like Joe Gelhardt on a permanent, he had a good end to the season, obviously scoring in that playoff semi-final. So yeah, for me, 20th for Hull. I mean, they might compete, but I don't see any other outcome for me than 20th for Hull.
Yeah, I've got them 20th as well. I mean, I think you're right when you say that they will compete because they've never disgraced themselves when they've been in the Premier League, Hull.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them not finish 20th, but I'd be absolutely amazed if they didn't get relegated. Like you said, they have signed a few decent players. Nobel Mendy from Rayo Vallecano's good signing at centre. He would bring some quality.
Yeah.
Some of the other signings they've had, though, Jack Butland, he's out long term with an arm injury, so he's going to be a miss. And their young player of the season last season, Charlie Hughes, who caught my eye, he's out with a hernia problem. So even when he comes back, I don't see him being back to full fitness for a while because those sorts of things as a footballer take their toll, don't they?
Yeah.
When you look at the players they're relying on, you're looking at players like Joe Egan and Matt Targett, who they've got previous with relegation teams, and I just can't see them, even with the quality of players like Mendy, having enough to stay up. I mean, they've signed 11 players, so they're obviously trying to do a Sunderland. They're buying big players that have got that physical presence, but I think it was probably at least one season too early going up for them, and I've got them dead last.
Yeah, we're all in agreement there. I just don't think they've got anywhere near enough quality, to be honest, to survive in the Prem. I think they were lucky, really, as well, to actually go up from the Championship last season. There was better teams in there. Millwall, Middlesbrough, to name two. Southampton, there's another. All better teams than them, really, let's be honest. So I think they're lucky to, not to discredit them, but I mean, they're lucky going up. And I just don't think they're going to have anywhere near enough to survive. I think it'll be fairly comfortable that they go down rock bottom, to be quite honest. I don't know any of these players except for Matt Targett that they've brought in and Jack Butler. So that's a bit of a, it could be like a Sunderland, like you said. It's a bit of a lottery. But, yeah, Hull 20th for me, I think. That'll be on most people's prediction videos as well.
Yeah, it's been a very popular team in that last position, unfortunately, for Hull City. But maybe they proved the doubters wrong. You never know. But we'll have to wait and see with that prediction. Moving on to 19th, I've got Ipswich. I think the change in management's going to be a bit of a hit going into the season with Gary O'Neill now instead of the old manager. So leaving that out, they've also got a bit more quality coming to the squad, which is why I've got them above Hull. I mean, they've got a couple of players like Leif Davis, and they've got Julio and Ciso coming back in on a permanent transfer from Strasbourg, which is a really good signing there. But yeah, for me, Ipswich are a bit of that yo-yo club at the minute, aren't they? Like Burnley, they're sort of becoming that in the recent seasons, aren't they? But yeah, for me, Ipswich just for me don't have enough quality. I mean, they've made a couple of good signings, but for me, it's not enough. So Ipswich, I'm sorry, 19th for me.
Yeah, exactly the same. I don't think the quality that is still in the squad after McKenna left is particularly good. I know you talked about Leif Davis, and I thought he did all right when they were in the Prem 2 seasons ago, but the fact that he never moved on suggests that he doesn't quite have it at this level. I'm not convinced by Gary O'Neill. I think he talks a good game and he's clearly a nice chap, but I just don't see that he's got the tactical nous at this level personally. They signed some decent looking players on the surface of it. And Julio and Ciso going back there permanently for 26 million is a decent signing.
Yeah.
But they're untried at this level, a lot of them. I mean, Emerson could be brilliant, or he could be another flop. He's the first Brazilian player to play for Ipswich, apparently.
Right.
Sasa Lukic in midfield. He was good 2 or 3 seasons ago, but I don't think he's at that level anymore. So they have, as you said, got that little bit of quality that Hull just don't have, but I don't think they've got enough to finish anything other than 19th.
Yeah, I've got them in there as well. Same position. Do like some of the signings they've made. You know, you mentioned in CISO. Interestingly, this Atara is also from Strasbourg. So O'Neill coming in, he's brought a couple of the guys that he managed at Strasbourg. So can only really see that being a positive that he's worked with them previously. Sherpen in goal, 6'7". I know that was one of their big problems when they were in the Prem 2 seasons ago because they were swapping with Walton and one other
Muric,
keeper. And he is not a great keeper at this level. So I think Sherpen will be good and strengthen them up there. But what I've got a question: why did they get rid of McKenna? Like that makes no sense to me. What happened there? Do you know?
I think he
they didn't want to
personally
get rid of
left.
him.
I think he
Yeah, he
personally
wanted to
left
go.
himself. He wanted a
He
break,
wanted to
so
go. Fair
He was
enough. Yeah,
wanted
only a
to
break from football, wasn't it?
break from football. So they had
completely
to
burnt
replace
out.
him.
Completely burnt out.
Yeah, fair enough. We can only imagine, can't you?
Yeah,
I just think the league, like, I don't actually mind Ipswich's team. Hull, I think, have got pretty much no chance. Ipswich, I think, they'll put up a good fight of it.
yeah,
But the Premier League's just too competitive. There's too much quality. You know, even teams like Newcastle have been ransacked this year, but you can't say that they're going to do any worse than Ipswich, for example. You know,
yeah.
there's just going to be too much quality for Ipswich, I think.
Yeah, I think it will be as well, and we all agree on that. So, Ipswich fans will not fancying you staying in the Premier League this season, unfortunately. But moving on to the last relegation spot, it was close, but I have put Coventry in there. I just personally think that the teams above them are better. Simple as that, to be honest. I think that the Premier League, the teams that have stayed in it this season, are quite experienced at the level. So the three teams coming up are going to be finding it really hard to try and, send teams like, West Ham, for example, last season down, like Leeds, for example, stayed up. So I think it will be more difficult for the three promoted teams to get out of that relegation zone. Don't take anything away from Coventry. They've had a really good window. Obviously, Frank Lampard still at the helm. They've got Carl Rochworth coming on a permanent as well. So a couple of really good signings coming in that will really bolster the squad. Like Tayo, a 1 year as well. Gustavo Harmer coming in from Sheffield United. So really good signings, and I definitely think they will compete to the team that will finish, that will finish above them in my predictions. But I just think, first time in the league for a while, it might take a factor. But I think that'll be the most competitive one out of the three that have got promoted. But it is boring, but I've got all three promoted teams going back down. But it was a toss up between, a team in my danger zone, which we'll get onto a second. But Coventry and 18th for me.
Exactly the same for me. And I too was a bit pain to sort of put them in that position, but I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a learning process for them this season. I think they might fit into the mould of a Burnley for a few seasons where they need to sort of be at this level to understand what it's all about again after such a long absence and slowly improve the quality of the squad. I can't see that they've improved the quality of the squad when you look at some of the players they signed. I know Holm was a good player, but he wasn't exactly pulling up trees in the Championship.
No.
Away from Forest, we're talking about a sub for a team that has been lucky to stay in the Premier League for a couple of seasons, frankly.
Yeah, it's true.
Keeping Carl Rushworth's a good signing. I think this Caleb Yerenecki in midfield is going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah,
I
Brighton will
just
link
hope
with
that,
him.
yeah, I just hope that. Doug King doesn't seem to have done much wrong since he took over there. He's brought the ground. He's got them promoted. He was, I just hope he carries on doing the right things. And I don't think getting rid of Lampard because things go south would be the right thing to do. I think they need to show faith in him, frankly. But I suspect, knowing the way football is, that they will part company at some stage, and I think that's the wrong thing to do. I think they need to do what Burnley did and show faith in Dyche. And I think if they come up, improve the quality this season, go down, storm the Championship again, and come back up, I think they come back in a stronger place. But they're just not signing enough quality sort of players, in my opinion, to finish outside of that bottom three.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. It is boring, but I've got Coventry there as well. The big one, signings wise, is Carl Rushworth. I think that's going to help him massively. But I'm very similar to you. I don't want Coventry to go down, and I was thinking, I think they got a good chance of staying up. But looking at the other teams above them, and I just can't see them doing worse than Coventry, to be quite honest. I think the other teams have got more quality. They've built on what they've already achieved in previous seasons in the Prem. And Coventry, as you just said, they're doing that all over again now. They've got to get back to grips with it, get back up to speed. So, yeah, I just think it's going to be a struggle for them. And I think that just go down. The other team that this bring me on to my
danger zone
side, in the danger zone, that I was maybe thinking, because I was thinking who's going to be close to him, and there's a couple, but I said maybe Leeds. I've got them in the danger zone, but even then, I don't really think Leeds are going to be that troubled by them. I think Leeds have got more quality. They've brought in Harry Wilson. They've brought in a few others as well, and they've built on what they had last season. That's exactly my point. So, yeah, I've got Coventry in my 18th, third relegation spot, and then Leeds just flirting with it. But, yeah, I just couldn't say anybody that I think would do worse, really, other than the two I've already mentioned.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, my danger zone, I thought I'd go a bit rogue with it, try spice things up. I've gone Sunderland. For me, with Europe, and, a very high expectations at the club, I can see things going south quite quickly this season. They were saying that if Regis Lebris didn't get Sunderland Europe, he would get sacked, and everyone was like, what are you talking about? How's he going to get sacked after such a successful first season? He got that. Europa League football's going to be tough for them to mix in with Premier League football after just one season. Second season syndrome as well is always a thing. We saw that with Leeds a couple of years ago in lockdown, finished, in a similar position to them in 10th or 9th or 10th, and then got relegated the next season. So, yeah, for me, Sunderland, I think they'll be fine, definitely. But I don't know, I think their focuses might be on Europa League football after getting that for the first time in, the first time ever they got Europe, or first time in a long period of time, isn't it? So, yeah, danger zone Sunderland for me. See if that pays off. But yeah, don't know if they'll do great in the Premier League this year. I think their full focus will be on Europe this time round.
Well, I've got Forest in the danger zone. I'm not convinced that they're going to spend that Elliot Anderson money. Well, and I think without him, they probably would be a Championship club by now.
Yeah.
The trouble with Forest is, as far as I'm concerned, is I mean, they signed this Diamande from Sporting Lisbon. He's played like 80 games in the Portuguese Premier Division. I mean, it's not exactly the same as the Premier League.
No.
And I've read that he's good with his feet, he's got passing ability, he's got vision, but I just think wait until you come up to the reality of playing in the in the Prem. I don't think that's going to work, quite frankly. They already had two good centre halves in Milenkovic and Murillo, and I think talk of Murillo leaving is probably quite concrete, frankly, because I can't see all three of them staying there. Have they signed this Xavier Schaller from RB Leipzig on a free to replace Anderson? I just don't think he's the same quality, frankly. You can't tip Forest to go down though, for two reasons, in my opinion. One is the quality of the teams that have come up, but also, they've at the moment still got Morgan Gibbs White, and I think any team that's got him in the starting 11 is going to be decent enough to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But I just worry about the quality of players they're buying. Already, if I was a Forest supporter, I'd be looking at that thinking that sort of money, should we really be signing a player from the Portuguese First Division that's played less than 100 games? I think they probably need to buy a bit more quality with that money, frankly. But I don't think they'll go down. But they are going to flirt with danger. And I think all this talk about them pushing for Europe again is pie in the sky, frankly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
They
wouldn't
would have
agree
been
with
the
them.
other team for me that I would
Yeah,
have put in, to be fair.
yeah, I would have put them down there as well if we did, a full length table. But obviously changing it up this episode. But yeah, there are danger zone teams. I think I'd agree with both of you there. I don't think, um, I I don't think Leeds will, push on higher up the table than, maybe 10th. So I think they'll have a good season, like you were saying there, Sterling. They've made some really good signings. And also Nottingham Forest, I think it's a big change as well, which keeps happening recently. Sean Dyche, Postecoglou, that old Wolves manager. I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. But yeah, anyway, moving on to our surprise European contender. For me, I've got Brentford. I think they'll surprise a lot of people in the fact that they're not expected to be up there because it's like some fans just say it's Brentford because they're not a big club in the Prem, but they've got bags of quality in that team, and you saw that in abundance last season, falling out, falling just short on the last day for the European spots, which is why I've got on, as a surprise European contender, as they don't have Europe instead of teams like, teams that would be around them like Brighton, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, even Sunderland last season, obviously getting in Europe. And then the teams above them obviously will have it as well, apart from, Spurs and Chelsea. But yeah, for me, Brentford, they've got no Europe. I think they have a really good manager in God, what's his name? The bloody
Keith
can't remember.
Andrews.
Yeah, Keith Andrews, the manager that everyone thought would flop last season because he was, the set piece coach, but he came in, proved everyone wrong. And I think he's made some really good signings as well. That Mamadou Sangare from Lens looks like a really good player in the midfield. Callum Wilson bringing that experience from West Ham. Jaden Anthony had a really good season at Burnley last season, even though he's playing for a really poor side. So, yeah, I'm impressed by their window. I think they've kept, the majority of the squad. Don't really look to have lost anyone apart from, Jordan Henderson going to Chelsea, which was a very strange move alongside Welbeck, which I think we'll get onto in a bit, which we are not happy with, as Brighton fans you can see here. But yeah, I rate Brentford, always have. Went to their stadium last season and it was a tidy setup. So yeah, I think there'll be a surprise package for me in the European spots, challenging for them, in fact. So I think they'll finish, seventh or eighth, which nowadays probably gets you a European place, doesn't it? So that's where I've got them.
Well, my surprise club is the Albion.
Mm.
I guess there's two ways you could look at that. You could either say lots of people think they're going to finish lower down because they've got a heavy European campaign, but then another way of looking at it is to say, why is it a surprise? Because they should perhaps be finishing in the top six. But I think they will. I think they will challenge for Europe again. Not quite get into these official places, but do enough to qualify for Europe. I think they've made some good signings. We're going to talk about one later on when we talk about our player to watch. One signing I'm really sort of keeping my eyes on is this Ismail Yusek Fenerbahce, because I think he's the sort of defensive midfielder they're crying out for. Talking about 25 million, I think before the end of this transfer window, he's gonna be signed, and I think he's going to be the sort of player that gives them the quality in midfield that they've perhaps been lacking. And of course, yesterday they signed Promise David, didn't they? From
brilliant signing.
I think he's
Looks promising.
Yeah,
Hey!
Looks promising, doesn't it?
I don't understand why they signed
Oh,
him.
that one side.
Getting rid of Welbeck was to open up space in the team for the two Greek
You
lads.
can't go into a Premier League season and a European season with two inexperienced Greek children up front.
That's true. I agree.
You can't.
But yeah,
And this bloke's still young, isn't he? So
yeah, I think they got the quality throughout the team throughout the squad rather to do well. And that guy signed yesterday, and potential signings on the horizon in the next couple of weeks. I think they'll do well. So my surprise European contenders is going to be Brighton.
Love it.
just on that though, why do we need to get a CDM? Because isn't that why Matty Weaver was brought in, and he's just been playing right back
Oh
for
no,
ages.
bloody hell. Hey, that's
Weaver
because of
he's playing CDM for Netherlands.
final. Yeah,
He's been playing
Netherlands. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? But Hurstler's definitely, certain on him being a fullback, isn't he? Which not a lot of Brighton fans are happy with, myself included, to be honest. But I do like him at right back. He's sort of grown on me because I used to absolutely hate him. Now I've got to be honest, but he has actually improved a lot when he's been playing there in the recent couple of games last season. But on to you, mate.
Wow. How dare you,
Sorry.
mate. I've got Brentford as well, though, George. I agree with you. They just missed out last year. I think I agree with what you said. They strengthened well. I like the signing of Jaden Anthony. I would have liked the Albion to have gone for him. I think he's a really good player. He's performing well in a rubbish Burnley team last year. So signed him for 20 million. Callum Wilson, more experience as well, off the bench, could do a job. Crucially, they kept Igor Thiago as well. That's a massive thing for them going into the new season. I just think they just got a tidy side, really. You said about the stadium being tidy. The side's just tidy. They've got good players. They work hard. They're efficient in what they do. And yeah, I think I completely agree with them not having Europe to worry about. They could push on, and also, excuse me, the fact that they just missed out last year is going to make them even more thirsty and hungry. Yeah, to get in there this season. They've been flirting with it for a few seasons, but they've not. They've not quite broken into those spots. So yeah, I think this will be the season for them. Probably just outside sixth, but maybe seventh or eighth, and then getting in there in either Europa League or Conference League when the coefficient eventually turns in our favour. They also beaten Frankfurt 7-0 in
I saw that.
pre-season, which is some result. They just got loads of good
Incredible.
players. Sharda, Watara, Damsgaard. Is it Damsgaard? Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
Damsgaard,
yeah, Jensen, Janelt. So they're just a good team all round. Brentford, I like them.
Yeah, I agree with you on that factor, as I said before, but I'm liking Simon's shout of getting the Albion back in Europe again if all goes well in the Conference League, which, as Brighton fans, I'm expecting Brighton to win it, but we'll wait and see with that later down the line in the season. But moving on to 6th to 1st place, starting in 6th place, I have got Manchester United. Man United with Europe is going to be a challenge for Michael Carrick. And I think their focus will be, well, not all of it's going to be on Champions League, but I think they will be taking the Champions League very seriously after quite a long stint away from it, since, I think it was like 22, 23 when Ronaldo was playing for them, wasn't it? So a long period of time, anyhow. But a couple of good signings, which I think is going to bolster the squad, like Tielemans and Andre Santos in the midfield. But I think they need a fullback still very badly, and I think that's why I've got them below the teams I've got above them, because, Man United can't just go into a season with Luke Shaw being, the only out-and-out left-back, really. Dallo sometimes plays there on his weaker foot, doesn't he? But, yeah, I think they need to do a bit more in terms of their transfers, and with Europe as well. I think that'll have an effect on them, with Champions League and Premier League football. They haven't had that for a while. So I still think they'll get into Europe in 6th place, but I think it will be, a different season to what they had last season with the incredible run they had under Michael Carrick. So I think they'll do well under him. I think he'll survive. But if not, I've still got him in 6th place.
I've got Chelsea in 6th. Still maintain what I said last season. They're a basket case club. And I don't think the machinations behind the scenes are making that any better now. The talk of Clearlake trying to buy Ted Bowie out and all that's going to be rumbling on in the background. I'm not sure about Alonso as a manager. I know he has success in Germany, but with those egos at Real Madrid, he struggled. So I think you've got that on one side of the ledger. On the other side of the ledger, you've got the fact they're not playing European football. So they're going to be in a similar position to United last season, where they can just, spend time recovering from games. But more importantly, I think we talked about this last season. It's the preparation for the games that is crucial. So I think those two things will balance each other out. But I don't think they've got quality enough to break into the top 5 if they stick with Alonso, which is a massive if with the record of this club.
100%.
And I don't know why you laugh it, because
No, I'm laughing because it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I like Alonso as a manager. That's why I'm laughing.
This takeover of the club and getting rid of Bowie and bringing in whatever his name is and bringing in Clearlake is going to have a profound influence, because inevitably when you've got two big groups of ownerships, there's going to be a compromise about who they decide to put in charge, and who knows what it means for Alonso if Clearlake take over, which I think they're probably going to do before Christmas. I mean, they spent most of the last season blaming each other for what was going wrong, so it's gonna impact it. I mean,
I do agree about the egos.
They've signed some
definitely.
They've signed some quality players. Morgan Rogers and Lacroix, I think, are great players, but it remains a bloated, unmanageable squad. And I can tell you now, I've said this to you before, George, if someone like Pep or Jurgen took over that club, the first thing they do is they would ship about 20 players out the door, because we looked it up, didn't we, way home for one of those games, and they've got over a dozen players in the attack, defence, and midfield, and it's completely unmanageable. And I think part of that comes down to the mixed up management structure, whereas one side of the management structure, or the ownership structure, I should say, wants these players, and the other side wants these players, and they end up with loads of players.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, I don't think that they're going to have a quality to get into the top 5, but they've obviously got a lot of quality, which should see them in 6. And I think off-field political manoeuvrings will impact on them over the course of the season. So 6 for me.
I've got Spurs in 6th. I think they're going to be cooking under De Zerbi. We all know how good he is. I don't know, my dad's laughing. They've got no Europe at all. De Zerbi, we know what he's about.
Yeah.
Van Hecker coming in.
Big call for a team that finished 17th 2 years on the trot to say they're suddenly going to leap up to 5th.
Yeah, but not. No, I've got them in 6th.
Oh,
For
6th.
starters, and 2, not with De Zerbi. They didn't finish there, did they? So they kept hold of Van der Ven. They've got Van Ecke next to him now. I think that's big. Dutch pairing. Tonali coming in centre mid. They've already got a good squad. You know, he's mentioned them coming 17th. They shouldn't have been coming there anyway, right?
No,
They
not a
really
chance.
shouldn't have. But they got Sensi coming in as well, centre half. So good few options there. Again, squad's just really good. Andy Robertson's another one coming in, and I just think De Zerbi's going to get the churn out of them. He'll get the fans going because he has that connection with the fan base. Everyone buys into him because that's the type of bloke he is. For the first season, at least, it's just gonna be all hunky dory. Everyone's gonna love him. Get into the second season with him, and maybe things start going wrong, but that's conversation for another day. I just think Spurs are going to be cooking, to be honest. Mateus Fernandes again, but it's not even just that. It's Maddison coming back from injury, Kulusevski coming back from injury, Solanke being fully fit. Maybe think they could do with another 9, but I think regardless, they're going to do well. And without Europe, I think 6th, I have them getting in there.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving on to 5th. I'm following up what you say. I've got Spurs, Simon.
There you go.
I've got Spurs. I agree with you, Sterling. I think no Europe, De Zerbi, the signings they've made are brilliant. I think they've overspent on players like Mateus Fernandes, 85 million for him. I think it's absolutely bonkers. But
yeah, that is crazy.
Keeping Mickey Van der Ven. They've obviously got Tonali coming in as well. Van Heck, obviously we know from Brighton's an absolute beast. We all loved him when he was there. But yeah, some really good signings on top of the players, like you just said then, coming back from injury. You know, Kulusevski and Maddison are massive for them. They've also still got quality in the squad. You know, I think Javi Simmons is a really good player. Kuda's coming back from injury as well. Richarlison's a good striker on his day. So, yeah, I'm impressed by Spurs. I'm impressed by De Zerbi, as I always have been. And we saw it at Brighton in his first season. He always, is absolutely brilliant. When he has Europe, is a bit different, as we saw under Brighton, tragic run of form. But anyway, with Spurs, no Europe, really good side, a better side than Brighton had, obviously. So I think they'll have a really good season. I mean, 5th place might even push down to a Champions League spot, which would be an absolute. I don't know how you could describe that rise up the table, like Simon's been saying, from 17th to the Champions League. But we'll wait and see. Spurs in 5th place for me.
Both delusional. I've got Spurs in 9th. Spurs in 9th, which I think would be a stunning achievement to turn around a club that's struggled for 2 years and get them into the top 10, quite frankly. I think you're putting too much faith in De Zerbi's powers.
We have him. Roberto.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got Villa in 5th.
Yeah.
And the reason I've got them in 5th is mainly down to Unai Emery, because I think he's just an elite coach. He's one of the best.
Definitely.
In Spain, frankly. I know they've lost some players. I don't think Tillemans is particularly that much of a loss, frankly. Morgan Rogers obviously is. But getting this man Zambi from Freiburg, I think he's a good replacement. Looking forward to seeing him play. Yeah, Gomez was one of Wolves' best players. They're snapping him up for 30 odd million. good bit of business. I'm really excited to see what Unai Emery does with Garnacho because he strikes me as a typical Villa player. And if you think back to seasons gone when they've had players like Jack Grealish bombing down the wing, I think it'll suit Villa and he'll suit playing at Villa Park really well. So I think he will get a tune out of Garnacho where other managers failed to do so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of caveats with that. They've obviously got a lot of European football commitments, but if anybody can manage a squad, it'll be Unai Emery, and I think he's going to be the crucial factor in making them or getting them a fifth place finish.
Yeah, I'm torn really between fifth, but I think I'll go Chelsea. I do agree with what you said about the egos. I think that's the key thing. He had that at Real Madrid. He didn't have that at Leverkusen, Alonso, and that was the hard thing. I remember watching videos of Mbappe telling him to, come over here, and don't listen to him, to the players. So that sort of thing, and you could see that happening. Which I think is why he's brought in Welbeck and Henderson to kind of get that leadership amongst the players and that experience. But it's just so volatile when you've got that many players in a squad. So it's a difficult one. I do think they'll have a good season, nonetheless. Morgan Rogers and Cole Palmer be cooking together. Striker, they got Welbeck, João Pedro.
It's just Brighton players. The Brighton squad.
They can link up well. They have bolstered the squad, and it was already good. So it's whether he can get churn out of them. But I've got them fifth. But it's a difficult one.
Yeah, it is. I think the Europe spots are quite difficult this season. They always are, but this season especially, I think it could actually go any way, to be fair. So we'll see if these predictions pay off as of far. But moving on to the top four, I have got Chelsea. It pains me to say they're in the top four because, as Brighton fans, I absolutely despise them because they just nick every one of our players. They've had a good window. Obviously, Morgan Rogers coming in, which is a massive signing. Lacroix from Palace is good. Barco, even though he's a bloody little rat from hitting Bellingham in the World Cup, if you can't remember. But yeah, a couple of good signings, but they've got quality in the squad as well. Caicedo being a main standout, and also Reece James, Levi Colwill, who I think is a really good player as well. So yeah, for me, I think they've got a good manager in Xavi Alonso. He's impressed me since, especially when he was at Bayern Leverkusen. I don't think he had the best stint at Real Madrid. But yeah, I think Chelsea would do better this season. But to be fair, it wouldn't surprise me to see them be lower down. But I've got them in the top four. I think Xavi Alonso is a good manager, and if he can get that team gelling like Palmer and Rogers, Caicedo behind them, some real quality going forward, especially, I think they'll have a really positive season. So 4 for me.
Yeah, I've got Liverpool in fourth. I think I'd like to see them sign a few more defenders. I mean, Jeremy Jacquet's been on the horizon since the turn of the year, and he had a good debut, as did Arajo, who's come on loan from Barcelona. I think they've got so much quality in that squad, though. If you think about players like Wirtz, who is just going to go from strength to strength now, he's had a season of Premier League experience, and Isak getting himself back to full fitness, I think he'll do really well. I think the manager's philosophy is going to go down well at Anfield as well. I think that's partly Slot's problem. Wasn't so much the results; it's supporters just did not like the football they were playing. And it was interesting insight watching one of the pre-season games when they talked to Kirkes afterwards, and they more or less said to him, "What's different between Areola compared to Slot?" And he said, "Well, with Slot, when I was got the ball in an attacking third, I have to keep cutting back inside. That's basically what I was told. And that sort of thing does not go down well at Anfield. Whereas with Eriksen, he said, when I get the ball in an attacking third, I've got to get down the byline and get the ball in the box. That's the sort of thing
that's more his game, isn't it? You saw that at Bournemouth,
yeah,
didn't you?
I think that, you're exactly right. And I think that was exactly what people at Anfield are expecting to watch. So as I said, I think if they could sign some, at least one, if not two, quality defensive options, I'd put them even higher. But I think they got world class goalkeeper. Talk of him going was absolute nonsense. Virgil, although he's in the twilight of his career, is still a quality player. I think I almost put this guy down as my one to watch, but it was a toss up between him and the guy that I picked. But I think Trey Naoni is going to be an outstanding player for Liverpool this season. I know Iriola thinks the world of him, and he's featured heavily in the pre-season tour. I think he's going to be really interesting one to watch, along with Endamara as well. So there's lots of positives for Liverpool. The only slight cloud on the horizon is this there's this lack of defensive cover, which might come back to haunt them. All this talk of Iriola not knowing how to manage a club because Bournemouth only played 40 games last season and Liverpool played 56. I think that's all a bit of a smokescreen. The guy's not going to get a club like Liverpool if they don't think he's capable of doing it.
100%.
So I think they will challenge. I think they'll do well in the cups, but I think that lack of defensive cover, which has been an Achilles heel for them for several seasons, is going to carry on, and that's going to stop them getting into the top three. But I'd be happy to put them down as fourth.
Yeah, I've also got Liverpool in fourth. I echo pretty much everything that you're saying. You know more about Liverpool than I do, Dad, but I think they could benefit from, definitely a couple of players coming in at fullback and maybe another winger or two. Looks like Gakpo is on his way out, which I'm sure people around Liverpool and the fans will all be happy about. Looks like he's going to Tottenham potentially for 70 million euros.
Who's
So
that?
Gakpo's what it's been reported. So he's going to Tottenham. But I'm sure Liverpool fans will be happy about that. And potentially Bradley Barker coming through the door would be an amazing signing. But I don't know if that's going to happen. 156 million, they're saying.
No, not for
It's
me.
ridiculous.
It will.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy money. If they got him, that would be massive.
PSG are already signing replacements for Barcola.
Yeah,
I
they
just
got him.
think they need someone to replace Salah. You can't. I know he didn't have the best season last season, his worst in his Liverpool career, but he's still got 14 GA. And you can't just not replace Mo Salah. So I think they need a winger. But I think Ngomara is going to have a really big season. Probably his we can't really say breakout because he broke out last year, but proper, he's going to go to new heights now, I
It's
think.
got a full season,
Forget,
isn't it?
had that, full season, had that time with England just before the World Cup as well. So, I think Liverpool will have a good season. I think Iraola's going to do really well. I like him as a manager. Got them in fourth as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving on to third place, I've got Liverpool. Three in a row talking about Liverpool, but yeah, for me, I've got him in third. I love Iriola as a manager. He really impressed me at Bournemouth, and took him from a relegation team all the way into Europe. Now in the Europa League, comes to Liverpool. He's got some quality players like Dominic Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, to name two there, but they've also bolstered the squad. Ronald Araujo on loan from Barcelona, I think, is a really good signing. Can play fullback, can play at centre half, so that versatility at the back's really good. And that Jeremy Jacquet from Rennes, don't know a lot about him but from pre-season he looks like a really decent centre back. But yeah, I think Isak will come to life this season after a difficult start to his Liverpool career. As
Just
you said
mention
just
that.
then, yeah. Engamoa, I think, will shine. Really impressed for England on the international stage as well. So yeah, I'm impressed with Liverpool. I think they'll have a good season. Not enough to challenge for the title for me. I think it's going to be a two-horse race for me between the two people I've got in first and second. But yeah, Liverpool have impressed me over the course of the summer, so I've got them in third.
Yeah, I've got United third. I think Carrick's good player, good manager. I think he's going to get the most out of that squad. He's obviously identified where some of the weaknesses in that squad were by ushering Casemiro out the door and bringing in Gomez and Tielemans to fill the gap. So that static midfield that was easy to pass through if you had the quality and move around, even if you didn't, has been slightly rectified with those two signs. I don't think it's the complete deal, frankly, but it's better. It's still got problems in defence, I think, which is going to cause them problems. But they got so many quality attacking options with Kahuna and Bano and Sasko. You just think this team's going to do really well against the majority of the Premier League, I think. And again, come back to this point. I know they're going to be playing in Europe, but they've got a big squad.
Massive
Some
squad, yeah.
some of those games are going to be high intensity. Some of them are not going to be high intensity, and he's got the support team around him to plan around those issues. I don't think Lemons is a good goalkeeper. I don't think the quality of the defence is going to mean that they can break into the top two, but I think they've got enough quality overall to finish third.
Yeah, I agree. I've got Man United there as well. Completely agree. The attack is amazing. The midfield's amazing. They might actually be bringing in Carlos Baleba as well now for about half the price as what it was reported last season.
Yeah.
60 million plus 5 add-ons has been reported today. But it's the defence. It's just there looks like to be frailties. I mean, Luke Shaw's a good player, so is Mazraoui. Don't mind them. I just think throughout a whole season, just feel like they got rickets in them. Maguire,
Yeah.
I love. Think he's brilliant. That Martinez, I'm not convinced with. So I agree with the defence probably being their weakness, but midfield. If Belieber comes in, that's going to be big. But even just Tielemans, Andre Santos, probably Mason Mount. I think that's solid. Obviously, they've got Bruno still ticking away. And then the business they done last summer with Cunha and Mbuemo was massive. So I think they are going to have a really good season. You're right to point out, George, about them being in Europe again. That's going to be a factor, but I do think they've got big enough squad to deal with that.
Yeah.
So if they can bring in Belieber coming in will be good because you know what he does in front of that back four. But if they can bring in maybe a defender or two before the season gets going and the transfer window closes, then that could push them up. But as of right now, I've got them in third.
Yeah, fair enough. You're in agreement there on Manchester United. So that'll be interesting to see how they get on with the European places they were in last season, obviously granting them into the Champions League. I've got Liverpool, as I said earlier, so wait and see who gets that third place correct later on into the season. But moving on to our top two, second place for me, I've got Manchester City. I'm not basing this off of the Community Shield. I don't understand it. I had Burnley versus West Ham on instead of it. Didn't watch any of it. Don't take any acknowledgement from it, to be honest. So I wasn't going to put Man City any lower because they got battered by Arsenal. But yeah, I think the key one for me is losing Rodri. That's an absolutely massive loss to Barcelona. What, for 50 million? I think it's reported. So it's not a good deal for them. Obviously, he's probably one of the best players in the world, especially in his position. Probably is easily in the top three, if not the best. So yeah, but they've lost other players like Bernardo Silva leaving the door, John Stones, Ake, even a Kanji going to into Milan. So yeah, for me, I think City will have a good season still. Enzo Maresca's a good manager. I think he didn't deserve to get sacked at Chelsea. As you saw last season, they had a terrible end to it under, Leon Rosenior and then Callum McFarlane coming in. But they've also made a couple of good signings. Elliot Anderson's obviously the key standout one in there from Nottingham Forest, which is the one that, City fans would have wanted. So, yeah, I think they've still got a really good squad that will help them compete with Arsenal at the top. A little teaser, but yeah, for me, Man City in second. I think they won't have enough to win it, but I still think Maresca will, fill in the shoes from Pep Guardiola and finish in second.
Yeah, I've got City second as well. I mean, frankly, I think the wheels are starting to come off City. I don't think they're going to finish as high as second after this season for a while because it is slowly going wrong. And it's been going slowly wrong for a while. I mean, they're looking to sell January 25. If you remember, they signed about 4 or 5 players because it was going really badly. And they're looking to sell
Yeah,
most of those now because they acknowledge they're not really cut out for it. They've already sold Reinders to
Yeah,
Alcata.
yeah,
We're
that was a weird one.
looking to unload
he's a good
Gonzalez.
player, so I don't get that really.
Me neither. I think that's a really
I don't think
weird
he's
one.
good, don't think he's good enough for top level Prem European Champions League football. Frankly, they're
Mm,
looking to they're looking to offload Gonzalez to Newcastle, Savinio to Tottenham. So you know that's sort of an acknowledgement, I think, that the recruitment in the past has been wrong. Who's that guy they signed from Wolves at full back? El Nouri.
Mateus
Eight
Nunes,
Nuri. No, Eight
A
Nuri.
Nuri
At
or
Nouri.
Mateus Nunes, they're both from
Yeah.
Wolves.
At Nouri. Ridiculous signing for a club like City. Goodness knows what he
Yeah,
was
that
doing.
was a weird one.
I mean, if they can get this Buadi deal across the line, uh, I think that will
Yeah,
be a positive for them. You should have
Is he the
watched it.
Moroccan?
Yeah,
yeah, midfielder.
Centre mid, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice, that'd be big.
that
from
will be
Lille.
big.
Yeah, I think you should have watched the Community Shield because it was breathtaking how poor City were. They were
I watched the
absolutely
highlights.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
I
were
saw they looked really
breathtaking.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I think that's just going to hasten them signing Fernandes from Chelsea, frankly, and I think Chelsea would be glad to get rid of him, especially if they come in with £125 million for him.
yeah,
Quality they've got in that squad should mean that they challenge Arsenal, but I don't think it's going to be a sustained challenge, quite frankly. And I think Maresca is going to struggle to do what the board expect him to do, quite frankly. But any squad that's got Haaland in it is it's more than capable of finishing second, at least in the Prem.
yeah. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Sterling.
Sorry, yeah, just I've got the giggles now. I've also got City there. I think the outgoings of Rodri, in particular, are the biggest ones that are a factor of them coming second. Also,
Yeah,
Arsenal just gone strength to strength, which I don't think it's a surprise that all of us have got Arsenal as champions.
yeah,
But Rodri going out is a big one. I personally don't understand Reinders or Gonzalez going if that is the case.
yeah,
I think looking at it, then they're lacking a bit of depth in midfield. Um, I don't think Enzo Fernandez is really like a centre mid like those guys are. He's more of like an attacking midfielder. So I
mm,
think that kind of leaves them a little bit short with out and out central mids that can keep it ticking. Bernardo Silva's gone. Gonzalez gone, Rodri gone, Reinder's gone. Gonzalez, if he goes, that is. But then who does that leave him with in midfield? Kovacic, he's old. And Anderson. Obviously, Anderson's a great signing. And no doubt City is still going to do brilliantly. I mean, they got the robot up front, Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
They got Semenyo, full season now.
Doku
was on the best form that I've ever seen him in. Foden, they need to get back to form, but they got Cherky. They still got a solid defence, so no doubt they're going to do well. For me, it's all up to Enzo Maresca, and I might as well just say this now. He'd be my manager to watch because I think he's got huge boots to fill. Biggest job out of anyone in this league because he's replacing Pep. So it's all up to him. He's been dubbed as the man for years to come and take over. He was at the academy. He was learning under Pep. So if he can't replicate it, obviously he's not going to be able to replicate it to the heights Pep has in one season. If he'll do a good job to ever do that, right? But to have a good season with him and get a trophy, at least one, is really what he needs to do. So that's my take on City, really.
Yeah, looks like we've all got Arsenal as champions, doesn't it? Not the greatest team we watched at the Amex last season, was it? Probably up there with one of the worst, but they were champions, and they deserved to be, weren't they? To be fair, City just had a drop off at the end, but I think they've made some cracking signings, especially Bruno Guimaraes. I think that's a brilliant signing, which I'll get onto in a bit actually. With one of my, sections for the players to watch and stuff like that. But also this Christos Solis, when watching the highlights of that Community Shield, the extended highlights, he looked really, real good player, short, energetic, really wanted to go at his man, whipped in the cross for the Havertz goal. So yeah, he looks like a good player. That's Solis, and obviously Bruno Guimaraes, we know from Newcastle, really good player there as well. But obviously Arteta's a cracking manager, and they've got some brilliant players like Raya in goal, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world. Still don't understand how he didn't play in that World Cup. I mean, I couldn't believe it when they playing Unai Simon over him, which was baffling to me.
They won it and they only conceded one goal. So
there you go. So he's laughing at me if he in some world this the Spanish gaffer sees this, but yeah, I mean, I think defensively is the reason I've got Arsenal there. I mean, even with Saliba out for the start of the season, when he comes back, they're so hard to break down. I mean, they conceded a real low amount of goals last season. They started off really well, and people were saying about the bloody Chelsea record, weren't they? With John Terry and Carvalho at the back, wasn't it? When they got Chelsea conceded like 15 goals in one season. But anyhow, yeah, Arsenal just full of quality. I think they've got loads of depth now, which I think was their problem when they bottled it, 2 seasons in a row. They've got that depth now of players that are quality. I can only see them being champions. And I think they might even win the Champions League as well. I think they might do the double, but that's for a later date. But yeah, Arsenal, my champions.
Yeah, mine too. I think they're one of the best teams in the world, quite frankly. And
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the depth of their squad as well later on. But if you think about the journey they've been on with Arteta and losing to City at the tail end of last season, but still coming through to win the title, I think it's going to be a lot more comfortable this season.
I
And the fact
agree.
that I agree with you, George. I think they're outstanding favourites to win the Champions League this time. I wouldn't be surprised to see it against PSG, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it not go to penalties this time. But they got so much quality in that squad, and they've just added to it. I think Trossard is obviously on his way out, but signing this, it's age really with Trossard. It's nothing to do with quality. I think he still did a job for them, but getting
One
this.
of
Yeah, getting this Zolis in is a good signing. I think Odegaard showed in the World Cup that he's getting back to match fitness, and he scored a great goal from a Zolis pass on Sunday
Yeah,
in
he
the community.
sat Donnarumma down, didn't he? That was quality, wasn't
I don't know why players don't do more of that, because it just every time I
it?
see players that have one-on-ones, I think to myself, why has he not just put the goalkeeper on his arse there? Because it's so relatively simple to do, especially
Yeah,
from the armchair.
made it look so
Um,
easy, didn't he?
he did, yeah. I mean, the only caveat to all that, obviously, is Saliba's injury, but I think they've got more
Quality in there. I
irons
think
in
they'll be
it.
able to cover it. Yeah,
Yeah, but I think they probably will be able to cover it because Nkape is permanent now, isn't he? And
yeah,
but I think they've got more irons in the fire in terms of what they're going to do, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Gerald Konza come in. I think that he's very likely to come in from Leverkusen if Saliba looks like he's going to be out for any protracted period of time. And I don't think they've done up front either. I think I would be totally surprised to see either Alvarez or Osimhen come in, because they've got money to spend if they get rid of players like Martinelli and Namweri. I think Lewis Skelly's done enough over the tail end of last season and on Sunday to convince Arteta to keep him in the squad, because
definitely. Yeah,
letting him go would be madness, I think. But that just shows you the quality, because up until the final few games of last season, Lewis Skelly, the season before, had been one of their mainstays. He didn't get a look in, but came in, did a job, and he played really well on Sunday as well. So it just shows you the quality that they've got there. So I think they'll be champions. I think they'll win it relatively comfortably. I think they'll storm Europe again.
yeah, Sterling.
Yeah, in agreement. Obviously, as champions, I do think they'll. I think they'll go very far in the Champions League. Would
I think they'll compete. I
put
think
my name out and
Barcelona.
say that they are second favourites. I wouldn't put them above PSG because I don't feel like that's fair at the moment.
Yeah,
But talking about the Premier League, it's what we're here to do. Yeah, I think champions. I think they got the best squad now, really. Yeah, I think that's fair. That I think they've got the best squad. Bruno Guimaraes coming in is brilliant. If they get Alvarez as well, that'll just take them to the next level.
100%.
Um, all things considered, maybe only City rivals them in terms of squad, but that defence is second to none. I
100%.
think the big thing for me is now they've got that title, the shackles will come off a little bit. I think for 3 seasons, wasn't it, or two, they'd come second, and now they finally got over the line. I think last season it was a bit more like, we're going to win any means necessary now. We
Yeah,
don't care. We don't care how we play, because in the seasons before that, they played really well and came
yeah,
second. So I think last season it was like, we don't care about this now. Let's just go and win. Like, we're tired of
yeah,
not winning. So I think the shackles will come off. They've got the confidence. They've bolstered the squad. And as you said, Odegaard back into fitness. Gyökeres with a bit more experience now. Max Dowman's going to have a good season, I think. He's a bit older. Madueke's grown into that team. You know, all things considered, I think the shackles will come off. They play a bit more freely, and they can actually express themselves in the way that they can do. They'll be, I'm hoping, better to actually watch as a neutral. And I think they can still, I don't think that's going to mean that they just go back to second. No, I think they've got that experience now and the grit and determination to win games, more quality, and that's just going to bolster them up. So I think not only are they going to win the league, they're going to do it in a nicer way, and so to speak, in football, in a purist viewpoint. You
yeah,
actually be watching Arsenal this season, I think, and saying, "Oh, they're playing some beautiful football." Like, yeah, I
yeah,
agree. Some of those goals they scored on the weekend were brilliant. I didn't watch the game, but I saw the highlights. So there you go. Yeah, I think I think they're going to do it again. Grow on last season. Champions.
Champions for Arsenal for all three of us. Let's see if that prediction pays off. I hope they play better football because the way they won it last year, you know, they won it, but fans are like, if you're going to win it in that way. But I agree that if you got to get, if you want to win a title, then win it the way you've got to win it, and they certainly did that last season. But there are predictions there. Moving on to the individual and manager sort of awards or predictions here. First of all, top goal scorer. I think this one's quite simple for me. I've got the robot, Erling Haaland. The guy's a joke. He just spawns in out of nowhere, bullies defenders, always scores bags of goals. So yeah, I mean, I can't really see anyone else challenging him. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if Isak, gets back to his usual form, he could get 20, 25. But Haaland would probably then score 30, knowing him. So yeah, I've got Erling Haaland, the robot. I think this will be his third season in a row winning it, wouldn't it? So yeah, I mean, what a player. 41 goals last season. There you go. I've just checked it in all competitions. That's absolutely ridiculous in one season. So yeah, I reckon he'll get 30 this season. Erling Haaland's my top goal scorer.
Yeah, same. I can't see him getting close.
You just don't really have to say much about it, do you? It's just Haaland at this point.
Haaland, move on. For top goal scorer because he's an absolute robot.
Yeah, next.
Can't see anyone else. You literally can't. He's absolutely incredible. And we're all easily in agreement there. And I think it'll be hard to see anyone else predicting the Premier League, seeing anyone else but Haaland as the top goal scorer of the season. But moving on to one which we might have different opinions on is the impact signing. I've gone for Bruno Guimaraes at Arsenal. I think he's going to free up room for players like Declan Rice to have needed rest, which he needed last season. The amount of minutes he played last season was an absolute joke. But it's not like they've brought in a random centre mid. He's a proven Premier League player. 9 goals, 5 assists from midfield for Newcastle last season, who really did struggle in the Premier League especially. But yeah, I think Bruno Guimaraes is a great player, energetic. I think he's been on the eyes of Mikel Arteta for a while. And I think he's going to add that depth in the midfield, which I think Arsenal did need near the back end of last season, with Marino getting injured, wasn't he? And Rice playing all them minutes, Odegaard not being at his best. So he's going to come in and bolster that midfield, give them that depth, which I think they need in there. And he's a quality player. It's not like they've just brought in a random. He's a top player that's been proven in the Premier League for a couple of years now. So yeah, he's my impact signing for Arsenal, Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah, I picked the same player. I think those stats, 9 goals and 5 assists in a pretty ordinary Newcastle side, I think he's going to improve on that. I mean, Arteta's not foolish. He's got all the data there. He knows that Rice was on his last legs towards the end of last season and Odegaard couldn't even get on the pitch. So he knew where the squad needed to be improved. And as you said, he went out and brought the best player he could possibly get. I mean, he's got so many qualities, Bruno. He's one of those players that if he plays for you, you love him. If he doesn't play for you, I think you don't like him because he's
I would agree.
He's quite a fierce tackler. He never stops moaning. But, I mean, his ability to split the defence if he's playing advanced positions is elite. He's press resistant. It doesn't really matter to him how tight a position he's in. I think he can get himself out of those positions. So he's just the icing on the cake for me. And I think he's the outstandingly obvious impact signing of the season, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'll go Bruno as well as my impact signing. Speaks for itself. I echo what you guys said. So there we go.
Yeah, I thought there would be differences there, but maybe not. We all rate Bruno Guimaraes as a player, and he adds that depth to Arsenal, doesn't he? So I think it is a crucial signing, which will have a massive impact on him. Moving on to our player to watch. I've got a signing as my player to watch, but he's sort of, a rogue one compared to Bruno Guimaraes. I've gone Joan Manzabi to Aston Villa. Really impressed me in the World Cup for Switzerland. Was, on the books at Borussia Mönchengladbach after a good season. Impressed in the Europa League final against Aston Villa. And for me, he came off I remember watching him come off the bench. Can't remember who against now, but in the World Cup, obviously, and he just looked absolutely brilliant. He really impressed me, and I'm not surprised after his performances in the World Cup that from centre midfield or DM that he got I think he was rumoured to go to Newcastle as well, but he preferred going over to the Midlands. So yeah, here it is. So he got 2 goals against Bosnia, goal and assist against Canada, and an assist against Algeria. Then he got injured, didn't he? So yeah, he really impressed me. I think he'll have an impact there. I think he's a good replacement actually for Tielemans. I think he'll be a very good replacement in there because he's young. I think he'll just get better and better each season. By the time they manage to keep hold of him, and you know, I think he's just a great player. Really impressed me. So yeah, I think he's my player to watch. Hopefully, it pays off.
I've gone for Luka Vuskovic. I think we
Do
should
it.
enjoy him. I think we should enjoy him while we can because I don't think he's going to be at the Albion for more than one season, quite frankly. If you look at his
No.
metric, he is an elite footballer. And I'm talking about his aerial threat. I think he won 99, or he's in the 99th percentile in terms of aerial threat. Jules one was over, well, nearly 70% in the Bundesliga. You might think to yourself, what's the player with that sort of those sorts of metrics? Right. Well, sorry, we forgot to mention goal output as well. Top goal scoring
Yeah.
defender in the
6
Bundesliga.
goals then.
Yeah.
6 goals, wasn't it?
So, what does a player of those metrics doing playing for Brighton? Well, I think 2 things. One, Brighton were prepared to smash their transfer record and spend over £50 million on what, at the end of the day, is a 19-year-old young man. So that's one thing. But
Yeah.
also, I think he's obviously got kinks in his game a little bit. I think his recovery pace is not at that level at the moment. So going to a club like Brighton under a manager like Hertzler, that's going to help him develop that side of his game. I think his ability on the turn when England played Croatia, I thought that was a bit. There was a couple of times when Bellingham absolutely sold him down the river with a couple of shimmies. So I think he definitely needs to improve on that. But a season in the Premier League, playing at the top end of the Premier League under a coach like Hertha is gonna not totally eradicate them because he's only 19. I think it's going to take a little while for them to be eradicated. But Hertha's going to get into the level where he's going to end up moving for twice that money to a top club. And you can see a scenario where Liverpool come in for him when they decide that
Yeah.
Bird on his last season, maybe next season. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play, but I've already resigned myself to only seeing him play for one season because I think he's going to be one of the best players Brighton have ever had, quite frankly. So yeah, he's my one to watch, Luka Vuskovic.
Big praise early doors. I've also got Vuskovic. I wanted to
Nice.
do something different, but I've already got him. Yeah, I think he's going to be quality. I'd check out everything you said, really. Goals, defensive contributions, everything. I think he's going to be a massive signing. People that don't know about him need to get to know, really. And I think they will see throughout the season just how good he is. I'm sure he'll come up with a few goals, but not just
Yeah.
that. I think he's an absolute beast. So there you
Yeah.
go. Broskovic as well.
Yeah, I do agree with you that he'll be quality. I think he actually got player of the season in the Bundesliga over like Elise and Kane because of how good he was. It was absolutely mad. I'll double check
I
here.
think he got young player of the season.
Was it young player?
Yeah.
Young player. But even so, like, that's incredible for a first season in the Bundesliga. Over players like Elise, he surely would have qualified for it. So, yeah, brilliant signing for Brighton. Looking forward to seeing him play, and I think he should impress Brighton fans. As we're saying that he probably will leave after this season, but I think it's just a smart transfer business. To be honest, we'll probably sell him for 100 million and get double the price. So hopefully the plan plays off, which Brighton have probably set out to do. But final section, manager to watch. I've gone for Marco Rose at Bournemouth. Replacing Iraola is a big job, which obviously he did incredible last season there. But I think he comes in with bags of experience. Dortmund and RB Leipzig for 3 seasons. Dortmund for a season, Gladbach as well for 2 years. So he comes in with that experience, which I think they're going to need going into Europe. Knows how to do it in the Champions League, probably the Europa League as well. He's had a break from management, so he's sort of found the right job that he wants. You know, just on his, he's won the DFB Pokal and the Super Cup for RB Leipzig, so he's got silverware in big competitions in Europe. So, yeah, Marco Rose, I think he's going to add that crucial experience, which if they didn't have, you know, if they brought in a young manager compared to someone like him, 50 years old, I think, with that experience he's had in the game, especially in Europe now that they've got it, I think he'll fill in the boots that Iraola has left. So Marco Rose is my manager to watch in his first season in the Premier League.
Mine's Alonso at Chelsea. I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does with that squad. I think he's got lots of advantages there in terms of the size and the quality, but as I mentioned before, those advantages also disadvantage in some respect.
Yeah.
Interesting to see what he does, because I know he likes to play with 3 at the back, so I'm not sure if that squad's set up to be capable of
Got
playing
about
that
20
way.
defenders to choose from, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. They're signed as a choir, so I'm sure they've got another 20 odd blokes lying around that could play centre halves. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he does, because he was outstanding at Leverkusen.
Yeah, he
Paid
was.
a little more attention to him there than I did whilst he was at Real Madrid, because can't get the we could watch the Bundesliga on Sky, but you couldn't get it on Sky or without signing up to some Sienna Sports or something. So I've never paid that much attention to the Spanish league. So anyway, I look forward to see what he does. I think he's going to be impactful for Chelsea. But as I said earlier, I can see a world where he's not there this time next year. But I hope he is, because I think he's a good manager. So Xabi Alonso is my manager to watch.
I've already done mine. I said Maresca.
Yeah, you said Maresca early in the episode. If you are listening, hopefully you still are. Catch your ears in, and hopefully heard Sterling saying that earlier on in the episode. But that is it for the predictions as a whole. At the end of this episode, just want to say a thank you, actually, just for the support over the past couple of weeks. It's been actually absolutely incredible. You know, Ishmael Premier Division's got 350 views. The National League South's got 300. It's support that, you know, for a podcast that started last year, we're very grateful for that. So, as well as all the other episodes have done very well. So, thank you very much for that. But that's the end of this episode. Hope you have enjoyed the Monday Night Football predictions. We'll be back next time for our first video covering every single league in the pyramid that we do, from the Premier League all the way down to the Ishmael Premier Division. But thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.